Hello, you guys. I can't believe we have reached the end of the year, and I want to teach you about some habits that I think will be really, really helpful. I've really learned a lot this year, especially about mental habits, which I will go into at the end of the video. So make sure you stay to that. I think that's probably one of the most important things that I'm taking from 2026. So make sure you are watching till the end. Subscribe if you like real, authentic videos that are here to make your life better. We are not about the clickbait. We are not about the spamming. We are here as parents to learn to do a better job, to raise this future generation in a crazy technocratic AI-driven world. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about that as well in this video, so make sure you stick around. And if you're new, my name is Julie. Hello, I coach parents, more specifically moms, on how to be intentional about how they parent, how to trust themselves again if they feel like they've lost that, or just to learn the skills to trust themselves in the first place. I'm an occupational therapist by background, and I have 3 children, and I've been coaching moms individually and in groups for a number of years now, and it is nothing like anything else I've done before. It really lights me up because I feel like if I can help a mom that is dealing with a lot of stuff, maybe she feels like she's in a bit of a crisis, I know that that mom is going to change the trajectory of her family's life. So if that's something that's interesting to you, make sure you give this video a like, and let's jump into my list of habits that I want to take into 2026 and that I think might be helpful for you as well. All right, so something that I have started to do a lot more intentionally this year, and it kind of goes hand in hand with something that I want to do a lot less of in 2026, is I want to read more books, specifically books that will enrich me, that are enjoyable, but honestly, I'll take any book at this point, any book that stops me from scrolling. So I have made a conscious effort to delete social media apps from my phone. I still have an Instagram account because this is how I connect with a lot of you, and I have access to YouTube, which I do really love. That is like my guilty pleasure. And I do really love long form content. Obviously, I have a podcast that I publish on YouTube and on Spotify. So I'm not off of those apps per se, but I have a lot less access to them because I was finding that I was so addicted to them. So the habit I don't want to take in to 2026 is being controlled by social media. And a way that I am combating that is to read a lot more books. So I have started a habit tracker that I will put on the screen here so you can see. And that has allowed me, and I've only just started it recently, to be a bit more motivated to read because I get to really enjoy the satisfaction of reading a book. And while I'm on the subject of reading, I have 2 books here that one I'm going to start reading and one that I'm halfway through. I highly recommend, if you're a mom parenting in 2025, that you look into these books. This one is not a parenting book per se. It is called The Chaos Machine by Max Fisher. It is scary. It is absolutely illuminating as to how the algorithms are shaping our societies on a global scale. It talks a lot about the 2016 US election. It talks about what happened in Myanmar, which was previously known as Burma, a small country in, I want to say Southeast Asia, but definitely in Asia. That was absolutely decimated when Facebook was introduced into the country. And if you know about that, you know it's horrific. Just the power of social media to manipulate and change our brains, and how for a large part of it, the companies and sort of the Facebooks of the world don't really take a lot of liability when it comes to these things. They do not take responsibility. And so as citizens, we need to be the ones who are pushing back and not letting these platforms control us. We can use them in an intentional way, but it can get dark really quickly. So that is a book that I am really blown away by, The Chaos Machine. And that's what I'm reading right now. And then the next one I'm going to read is Hold On to Your Kids by Gordon Neufeld and Gabor Mate. Gabor Mate is a very well-known psychologist. He's been doing a lot of podcasts lately. He's very famous. And this concept basically, I haven't read the book yet, so I'll just preface it with that. But it's this idea that peers should not be the primary influence on your children, and that it's actually quite a new concept that friends are king when it comes to our tweens and teenagers. And as I have a 10-year-old, I know that this is coming closer than I would like it to. And I want to try and make sure that we can stay the primary influence in our children's life and impart our values so that they can make better decisions in their lives and not be the blind leading the blind. You know, when 12-year-olds are telling other 12-year-olds what to do, what does that 12-year-old really know any better than another 12-year-old? So I'm very interested to read that. But I've also read a book recently called Stolen Focus. I'll put a picture up here. I would highly recommend you read that as well. It's also a lot about attention and stealing our attention, which is the thing that big business, big tech is after. And I think we all need to be aware of it. Okay, so something else that books really help me with is going to bed a little bit earlier. By getting apps off of my phone and focusing more on reading, I'm much more likely to feel a bit more sleepy and want to go to sleep and actually fall asleep. I really struggle to sleep, especially as I'm getting older, hormonal changes, all those kinds of things. And I really struggle to go back to sleep if I wake up. But if I go to bed early, I'm talking like 9:30, preferably before 10, at least I know I'm probably going to sleep the first half of that night. So when I do wake up at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and my thoughts start spiraling, at least I've had a good chunk of sleep, even if I'm not sleeping a full 8 hours or full uninterrupted night's sleep. I don't remember the last time that I fully slept without being woken up by something or someone. So let me know if you sleep throughout the night and if you struggle to go back to sleep, because I really do. But a habit that I really want to continue, and I think that everyone should, is a set bedtime, something that works for you. Try not to deviate too much from that time. It shouldn't be more than 30 minutes, kind of either way, because your body really thrives on that consistency. And more than anything else, if you listen to sleep experts or read any books on sleep, you will know that consistency at bedtime, having that routine, is the most important factor when it comes to getting regenerative rest and sleep. It's surprising. You would think it would be the length of sleep or maybe how many naps you take or the quality of the deep sleep. It's actually the time that you go to bed being consistent. That's why travel and jet lag and working late and being on screens and all the stuff that pushes bedtime to funny times, it really, really affects us. Okay, along with sleep and just healthy habits in general, workout classes have been going pretty well for me. I try and go to a class 2 or 3 times a week. This December period is really tough because there's just so much more pressure on parents, I feel like. But everybody working and just the office parties and the end of year events. And then with school, it's like wear a different outfit every single day and send in this to the class, this outing and whatever. All the things seem to culminate, but it's so strange at the same time in the US because I'm from South Africa, where we run a January to December academic year. So Christmas time is the end of the school year. It's like, feels like closure, but here it's the middle of the school year. So we're kind of doing a mini closure and then we go do it again in June. So it's all really a lot and chaos. And I think every parent out there is struggling a little bit over December. So trying to work out or trying to keep some kind of regular exercise routine, not punishing yourself when you don't make it to that class because unexpected things came up. That's what I'm going to try and do in 2026. I'm going to try and keep up on that trajectory so that I know that I'm taking care of myself in a movement and strength capacity. Something else that I did this year was learn how to play mahjong. I don't know if that makes me old and crotchety or just young and hip. I'm not really sure, but I think mahjong has kind of become very popular and taken the world by storm. And more than just the mahjong itself is the fact that it represents to me fun. And this was something I remember talking about last year around this time, trying to put more fun into my life and not be so serious about everything, not be so down in the dumps about everything that I can't control, and putting more fun and friendship and community into my life. And so that's something that I'm trying really hard to. I feel with our busy lives, social lives and adult friendships often get put to the side because we just don't make time for them. And so I'm trying within reason to actually prioritize that a little bit. I even got a babysitter this week. My husband was away, and usually I would just opt out of every social invitation. But I actually got a babysitter so that I could go and play mahjong. And it was really fun. And it was just good to get outside. And it just it reminds me why we do these certain things and why it's really important to cultivate friendships that are not just revolving around my kids all the time in a balanced way. Something that I think is super important along with the sleep, which I probably should have mentioned then, and I think this is something that I recommend to all of my clients as well, is that rest is a success strategy and you need to prioritize it. If you're in a situation with me, like me, where sometimes you're solo parenting, I was solo parenting this week, I actually prioritized giving myself 45 minutes to lie down and take a quick nap before the second shift starts. And if you're not familiar with the second shift, it's this idea that, your kids are at school and you probably are working and doing productive things and managing your home and doing all the things. And then 2 o'clock rolls around around and you're like, oh, I need to go pick them up from school, and the second shift starts. So when your kids come home, that is the time that you need to be like all hands on deck, but it's also 3-4 o'clock and you're tired. You've been up all day. You know, as moms, we joke that we've lived like 15 lifetimes by 9 a.m. So like, how many lifetimes have you lived by 3 p.m., you know? So I prioritized taking like a quick power nap. It doesn't even matter if you don't sleep. If you do, great. But it just helped me because I knew I was going to have a super busy afternoon, a lot of driving, a lot of just like moving pieces, managing children in the car. Then I had to go to my neighbor and drop off a gift, all of these things. Like, there's just a lot going on. Come home, cook dinner, get them showered and ready for bed all by myself. So I knew that I needed a little bit of energy and I just needed a bit of time. And this is where rest is so important, because if you invest in your sleeping and your rest and just, you know, diluting your calendar, if you will, it's going to help you so much because you'll have a bit more energy to tackle all the things that you need to do. Whereas if you push yourself over and over and over again, you're going to get sick. You're not going to feel well. You're going to snap at people. It's just kind of a recipe for disaster. So rest as a success strategy is something we all should be taking into 2026. Then I have also found out that in order to get all the things that I need to do done, be productive, as it were, I thrive on a to-do list of some kind. And I've tried every different kind of system when it comes to to-do lists. You know, the physical book. I've tried apps on my phone. I've tried writing on random pieces of paper that I leave around the house. All of the things, mentally trying to remember everything. And I think the thing that I'm enjoying the most right now is actually using my Google Calendar that I share with my husband. But the difference is that I create tasks on there just for me, so that only I can see. Because in the past, I would think like, oh, I don't want to add something like, I don't know, bake bread or something. I've been baking a lot of bread now because it's holiday time for my neighbors. I don't want to put that on my husband's calendar, aka on our joint calendar. Like that, he doesn't need that. And he has his own work calendar. And then we have this joint calendar that we use for the home and like for our children. And we'll put on dentist appointments and sporting things, their whole curriculum, like their extracurricular stuff. But I wanted something where I could keep the things that I needed to do on there, but not pollute anybody else's mind. But you can just change the viewing privileges, I guess, or the type of calendar that you put on your Google Calendar. So I know that our family organization is what we call it, is all green. And then things that are just for me that only I see are in pink and they show up. And what I've also found is kind of satisfying is I'll put a bunch of stuff on there and then I can delete it as I go if I want to. So then clear up my day. So I did this. I went to the post office, or I went to the bank, or I ordered something. So this way, I know that I don't have to keep all of this in my mind, which makes me anxious that I'm going to forget something. But it also keeps me very organized because it's interspersed with whatever physical thing or timing thing or event that I have in my day. So say on Tuesday, I had a really busy day. I think I had to go to the dentist. I had a call. I did a bunch of things. I had to pick up my one child earlier and then the other ones later. So that's all on the calendar. And I don't want to have a separate to-do list because I'm looking at that calendar and I know I'm going to look at it. So then I put in little tasks that I needed to do for myself. They weren't necessarily events or people that I needed to meet or calls or work related per se, but they're things that I need to get done. And if I put them on my calendar amongst the other things, I can see where I can kind of fit that stuff in. And that takes away that decision and that should I do this? You know, when can I do this? And I just find I have a lot better compliancy, I think, is that the right word, to doing certain things if I put it on a calendar and I see it there. So say I want to start reading more and I have that habit of reading an hour a day or something like that, I can put that in at a specific time in my day and I don't have to stick with it. It's not, you know, set in stone and you can move things around in a calendar, but I just am so much more likely to actually do the thing if I see it on my calendar. I'm easily influenced and motivated by having a to-do list and it's very satisfying. And then you can just delete things if you want, or you can leave them on there and bask in how productive you were. Okay. And this is the tip that I think you hopefully are watching to the end of the video for, because it is the best one. And it's not a thing. It's a habit that I have been working on. So our whole life is run by this thing between our ears, right? It is all mental. If you think you can do something and you think you can't do something, you're right on both accounts. Your brain is so powerful and so strong that it'll try and make you right. So if you think you can do something, your brain is going to work towards you doing that. If you think you can't do something, your brain is going to work towards you doing that. And I get into these mental spirals, negative spirals. And I realized that this is a habit that I have built. I have solidified the pathways in my brain to go down the negative thing. And I think, as humans, we're predisposed to that. It's a survival thing. We take note of negative events or people or talking points or anything much, much more than we do positive ones. It's something like for every negative comment that you get, you need 10 positive ones to override that. But for me, I find that I tend to strengthen that negative thought because I think about it all the time and it's a habit. And I was listening to a podcast recently, Mel Robbins' podcast. I love Mel Robbins. And she had on this habit expert. I think his book is called The Power of Habit. I'll put it up here. He is the pioneer, as she describes him, like the guru of habit research. He is kind of where a lot of these other books have taken over from. So Atomic Habits, Tiny Habits, these are books that I love and I own. They were inspired by The Power of Habit. And, they've kind of taken the torch from him. And one of the things that he spoke about right at the end of the podcast was about mental habits and changing that and how you override the mental habits. And I love this podcast so much that I listen to it again, which is just something I never do. I never listen to podcasts again. There's so much information to download into your brain. I don't have time to listen to things again. So I just want you to really understand. I want you to really understand how much I valued this podcast and how I thought it was important that I listen to it again. And, I thought I knew a lot about habits because I love habits and talking about them and I understand them and I've read a lot of books about them, but I listened to this twice. And the main crux that I got out of this podcast with the mental element, she asked him a question like, which you'll often hear on podcasts, what is something that we haven't discussed yet that you think is important for people to understand? And he probably said this very flippantly, but it was very poignant for me. And it was this idea that you can override a negative mental habit or mental loop by thinking about things that you have done for other people. This was the example that he used, and I'm sure there's some psychology around cultivating gratitude and just improving the vibes, right? Improving the high vibes, not the low vibes. I consider like toxic thoughts and negativity, those are kind of low energy vibes, and happiness, gratitude, joy, these are the high ones, right? And we can't always be on the high vibes, but we try. So I have found that when I have a negative thought, which is often something to do with something that I did, that I feel bad that I did, a mistake that I made, something I said that I shouldn't have said, I can go down the self-persecution route way too easily. I am very judgmental of myself and I don't like this about me. And I think it is a habit that I've picked up along the way and strengthened through continuously thinking about these things. And so what I do when a thought creeps in that I don't want to perpetuate, I consciously think about all the things that I have done, usually for my children, that would improve their life. And sometimes there's a lot of things that it comes easily. Sometimes it's just I am working to pay for their extracurriculars, or I helped them make their bed this morning, or I was extra patient with my 4-year-old who won't get dressed in the things she's supposed to wear, or I made them dinner, or I stayed with them while my husband traveled. Basic stuff that I do all the time. But there's some element about just acknowledging it. It helps distract me from thinking this negative thought spiral. And I hope over time that I will never think those thoughts again, that I will be able to move on from the incident or incidents and just live my life and not be so plagued. When I do yoga, it's kind of one of my newer habits. And every time they ask if you will set an intention, and I always ask in my head, I always think about, I just want a peaceful mind. I want an uncluttered mind. I don't want this busy negative mind. And this is an active way that I can work on that. So if you get nothing out of this video, I hope that you will take that tip and use it yourself, because I'm sure all of us have our negative spirals. We think of things and we perseverate on things that we don't want to. That's not helpful. It's the constant worrying and anxiety about something that you can't change now doesn't help the situation. It just takes away your peace. It takes away your creativity. It, takes the place of a time where you could be thinking of better things, be more joyful, say something kind to someone, do something good for the world. And instead you're just, spiraling in your own self-hatred. And it's not good. It's not a good thing. And I don't want my children to be thinking like that or get these negative thought patterns from me and perpetuate the cycle. So that's something that I found to be super, super helpful. And I hope that you will take that into 2026. So these are the habits that I'm going to be working on going into the new year. Let me know if any of these resonated with you and if you'll be doing any of them and what your goals, habits are for 2026. Habits are positive or negative. They are just the habit itself. The idea, the concept is just, it is what it is. It's a shortcut to a certain thing, pattern recognition. So we don't have to keep on reinventing the wheel, but we can really manipulate ourselves in a positive way. And if you read this book, you will realize how manipulatable how easily we are able to be manipulated. You might as well manipulate yourself for good. That's how I think. So I hope you're having a beautiful day. I hope you will subscribe and give this video a like. Make sure to listen to other episodes of the Confident Parenting Podcast. And if you're watching here on YouTube, leave me a comment down below so I know where you are in the world. And I will see you in my next video/podcast. Bye.